I replaced Google with Perplexity AI for a week. The bold experiment, hook. Google's days as my search engine are officially over. I spent an entire week using only Perplexity AI instead, and honestly, I'm never going back. My search times dropped by half, I stopped falling down rabbit holes of ads, and I actually got answers instead of just links. But here's the thing, it wasn't perfect. Let me show you exactly where Perplexity crushed it and where it completely fell apart. I haven't used Google search in 7 days. Not once. No sneaky tabs. No, just this one quick thing. Cold turkey. Some tasks were absurdly faster. Others? An absolute frustrating mess. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether Perplexity is a legit Google killer or just another overhyped AI tool. Now, you might be wondering, why Perplexity? Why not ChatGPT or Bing Copilot? Simple. Perplexity is the only one that's built from the ground up as a search engine. ChatGPT is a chatbot that can search. Bing is Google with a chatbot bolted on. Perplexity is trying to be something entirely new. And when I decided to do this, I replaced Google with Perplexity AI for a week challenge. I wanted to test the tool that was actually designed for the job. Why I chose Perplexity over Google, context. Let's be real for a second. Google search has been getting worse. You search for a product review, and the first 4 results are ads. You look for a recipe, and you scroll through someone's life story before finding the ingredients. SEO manipulation has turned page 1 into a battlefield where the best answer rarely wins, the best optimized page does. Perplexity promises something different. It pulls real-time information from across the web, synthesizes it into a direct answer, and cites every source so you can verify. No ads. No sponsored results. Just a clean, conversational interface where you ask a question and get an answer. That's the promise, at least. I wanted to see if the reality held up. And let me be clear, this isn't anti-Google propaganda. I've used Google for over 20 years. I'm not rooting against it. This is a genuine, honest test. If Perplexity flopped, I was going to tell you it flopped. It didn't flop. But it didn't win cleanly either. Days 1 to 3, the honeymoon phase. Day 1 blew my mind. I needed to research a complex topic, the differences between RAG and fine-tuning for large language models. On Google, that search gives me a mix of blog posts, some outdated, some surface level, and I'd spend 15 minutes cross-referencing tabs. Perplexity gave me a structured, cited breakdown in about 12 seconds. 12 seconds. With links to the original papers and articles right there inline. I clicked 2 sources to verify. Both checked out. Over those first 3 days, I tracked my search times loosely. For research-style queries, anything where I needed to understand something rather than just find a link, Perplexity cut my time by roughly 60%. That's not a small improvement. That's a different workflow entirely. Current events were another win. I asked about a breaking news story, and Perplexity pulled the latest reporting with timestamps and sources. No stale results. No clicking through 5 articles to piece together the timeline. But here's what really hooked me, the follow-up questions. You ask something, get an answer, and then ask a follow-up in the same thread. It remembers context. It felt like having a research assistant instead of a search bar. Coding help was surprisingly strong too. I was debugging a Python script, pasted the error, and got a clear explanation with a fix, plus links to the relevant Stack Overflow threads and documentation. Now, one early red flag. On day 2, I asked about a niche software tool's pricing, and Perplexity confidently told me numbers that were 6 months out of date. It cited a source, but the source itself was outdated. The answer looked right. It felt right. It was wrong. Wait, there's a catch with Perplexity's sources that Google doesn't have. Google shows you links and you decide what's current. Perplexity gives you a polished answer that might quietly contain stale data wrapped in confidence. That's a different kind of dangerous. I learned to always check the dates on citations. Not ideal, but manageable. Days 4 to 5, where Perplexity started breaking. Day 4 is when the cracks got real. I was out running errands and needed to find a nearby coffee shop that was open. Normally, I'd Google it, get a Maps result with hours, reviews, and a navigate button in 2 seconds. Perplexity gave me a list of coffee shops in my city. Generic. No map. No real-time hours. No Open Now filter. Completely useless for in-the-moment local search. E-commerce was clunky too. I wanted to compare prices on a specific monitor. Google gives you shopping results with prices, retailers, and direct buy links. Perplexity summarized some review articles and mentioned price ranges, but I still had to go elsewhere to actually buy anything. Image search? Barely functional compared to Google Images. I needed a reference photo for a design project. Google gives me infinite scrollable results with filters. Perplexity gave me a handful of images with limited options. The moment I realized this experiment was about to break my workflow entirely was when I caught myself, 4 separate times in one afternoon, instinctively typing in the Google search bar before stopping myself. 20 years of muscle memory doesn't die in a week. But here's the thing that nobody expected: Perplexity actually made me worse at one critical task. Quick, simple fact checks. What year did this movie come out? How tall is the Eiffel Tower? Google gives you a knowledge panel instantly. Perplexity writes you a paragraph. For a 5-word answer, that paragraph felt like overkill. Sometimes you don't want a conversation. You just want a number. Days 6 to 7, the verdict emerges. By the end of the week, a clear picture formed. Perplexity is phenomenal for deep research, learning new concepts, debugging code, and brainstorming ideas. Anything where you need to synthesize information from multiple sources, it's genuinely faster and better than Google. Google still dominates local search, quick facts, image search, shopping, and anything tied to its ecosystem: maps, shopping, flights, all of it. The honest answer? A hybrid approach is the move. Replacing Google entirely isn't realistic yet. But using Perplexity as your primary tool for research and complex queries while keeping Google for utility searches? That's a genuine productivity upgrade. Now, the cost factor. Perplexity's free tier is solid but limited. Perplexity Pro runs $20 a month and unlocks the more powerful models and unlimited searches. Google is free. For most people, that price gap matters. But if your time is worth anything and you do a lot of research, Pro pays for itself fast. The overall experience still feels like a very powerful beta. It's brilliant when it works. It's frustrating when it doesn't. And it's improving at a pace that makes me think 6 months from now, this list of complaints might be half as long. Bonus, the feature nobody talks about. One thing that genuinely surprised me: Perplexity's collections feature. You can save searches into organized folders. So that research thread on AI models I did on day 1? Saved. Organized. Searchable later. It's like having a built-in research library that builds itself as you work. Pro Mode also has search focus filters. You can tell it to search only academic papers, or only Reddit, or only YouTube. That level of precision is something Google buries behind operator syntax most people don't know. And for creators and developers, the API opens up some wild possibilities for building custom research workflows. That one's a rabbit hole I'm still exploring. Final verdict plus recommendation. So, should you replace Google with Perplexity AI? If you're a researcher, student, developer, or content creator who spends hours searching and synthesizing information, yes, start using Perplexity today. It will save you real time. If you're a casual searcher who mostly Googles restaurants, directions, and quick facts, Perplexity isn't ready to be your daily driver. Not yet. My honest recommendation: use Perplexity as a complement, not a replacement. Make it your first stop for anything that requires depth. Keep Google for everything that requires breadth and local context. For what Perplexity needs to do next: better local search, better image results, tighter hallucination control, and smoother mobile experience. If they nail those, Google has a real problem on its hands. Now, if this experiment inspired you to rethink your own workflow, here are 3 tools I personally use alongside Perplexity. For writing and content, I use Jasper AI, link in the description. For organizing all my research and notes, Notion is where everything lives. And for any visuals or thumbnails, Canva handles it. All 3 links are in the description if you want to check them out. That's it. That's the full week. That's the honest truth about what happens when you try to live without Google in 2025. Drop a comment and tell me, what search tool are you using right now, and would you try this challenge yourself? I genuinely want to know. If this was useful, smash that like button. It helps more than you think. And if you want more videos where I actually test these tools instead of just talking about them, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video.